Well, for example, I hope to thank you and your colleagues for bringing virtually the entire leadership of the Russian Federation here today, and we had a very fruitful meeting. Supreme Council of State. But if you will allow, in connection with the established between us as kind as your press, the Secretary rightly said, when brotherly relations raise another question. I somehow did not raise it at the meeting, but I will frankly say that I'm not hiding it, since I have already mentioned it in Astana. The issue is very serious, and let it be better to be open than later. There will be different conspiracy approaches to this problem. We are very concerned about the situation in Western Europe, especially on our borders, especially on the side of Poland and Lithuania. We assess this as a danger that is greater than from the belligerent Ukraine. Already, 15 kilometers away from the border, troops, and not only Poles and Lithuanians, are stationed at the border, but NATO armed forces from other states, including Germany, are massing there. That is, the situation is very tense. Poland spends huge resources on arming its army, but if they want to live in peace with us, as they claim, why spend billions of dollars on arms? In a word, this alarms us very much, and it is already a threat. Our joint group, the armed forces, which you spoke about today in your speech, I am leading the rebellion. So not agreeing, naturally, I translated it into a joke with you. Well, what kind of joke can there be when it comes to a new weapon recently? Russia successfully launched Oreshnik. It had some effect on ours. Partner of former rivals, and do not consider this as some kind of arrogance. I want to publicly ask you for new weapon systems. And first of all, hazelnuts were placed on the territory of Belarus. This would seriously calm some minds who are already ready to fight against Belarus, equally against Russia on the territory of Belarus, according to the report. The concept of national security, which we recently signed, has been adopted today under the Union State. We have, and I'm not kidding, certain places where we can put these weapons. With only one condition, specific goals. For this purpose, the weapons will be determined by the military political leadership of Belarus. But in the meantime, you will train us to use these weapons if this is done so that specialists of the Russian Federation will maintain and carry out launches for certain purposes. Do you know how to do this with hazelnut combat charges? As you demonstrated recently, this would significantly strengthen the defense of our Union and, above all, the Belarusian territory. I would very much ask you to think and agree to my request. Well, we are reproached for nuclear weapons. Nuclear weapons have been deployed and so on. It is not a nuclear weapon, but it is very effective. As you said, they are comparable under certain conditions to inflicting damage like nuclear weapons, but without any contamination and without any strikes that would lead to contamination of territory and facilities. To which this blow is being dealt, I once again ask you to consider it would not only be good support. My request, but also the Belarusian people.
First of all, I would like to thank Alexander Grigorievich for the invitation to visit Minsk and for the traditionally warm welcome of our entire delegation. I have already said this in our work today. A great deal of work has been done by experts and members of governments on both sides to prepare for today's event, and it has been very successful and productive. Yes, there are issues that we still have to work on in the economic sphere, but nevertheless, all our previous meetings were aimed at agreeing on some controversial issues that always exist, bearing in mind the huge volume of our interaction. And to date, Alexander Grigorievich knows this, colleagues. He knows this from both sides, almost all the issues that caused some disputes, maybe. And the need for coordination. They are all just coordinated, of course. There is still work to be done, and we will do it, I am sure. We will achieve good results because both sides are willing to continue our constructive joint work, which means that solutions will be found. Although I repeat, today, Alexander Lovich, I think you will agree. Such issues that would not cause, on one side or the other, any dissatisfaction in the development of our relations, it simply does not exist today. There are, I repeat, topics that need to be worked on, and we will do it now. We have just signed two very important treaties on the single electricity market and a treaty on security guarantees, of course. This treaty holds fundamental importance and significance. One in the economic sphere, the other in the security sphere, since this security guarantee agreement defines mutual allied obligations to ensure the defense of Russia and Belarus, moreover, as we already said, with the use of all available forces and means. That is why we went on to meet the requests of the Republic of Belarus and the presidents of Belarus for deployment on the territory of Belarus. Deployment of Russian tactical nuclear weapons, well, of course, on such newest systems as Hazel, they have no analogues in the world, in case of group use, are incomparable with the use of nuclear weapons, but they are not weapons of mass destruction for two reasons. First, unlike weapons of mass destruction, these are precision weapons. It will not kill by area and achieves the result not due to its power, but due to accuracy. 1 and 2, in the case of group use of 123 complexes in terms of impact force. It is the same as nuclear, but it does not infect the terrain, has no radiation effects, because there is no nuclear component in the warhead of these missiles. As for the possibility of deploying such, frankly speaking, formidable weapons as hazelnuts on the territory of Belarus, since today we signed a treaty on security guarantees with the use of all available forces and means, I believe. Placement of such complexes as Oreshnik on the territory of the Republic of Belarus is possible. 1, 2, this will be possible, I think, in the latter half of next year, as the production of such complexes ramps up, serializing these complexes in Russia and integrating these missile systems into service. Russian strategic forces, and of course there are a number of technical issues that must be solved by specialists, namely the determination of the minimum range, taking into account the priorities of ensuring the security of the Republic of Belarus. Specialists have to work here, but I think there are such opportunities. Taking into account the fact that this will require minimal costs, bearing in mind that Belarus has had some infrastructure capabilities since the times of the Soviet Union, therefore, the placement of such complexes in Belarus will be associated with minimal costs. Preparation of infrastructure, of course, despite the fact that they will be part of the RVSN complex of Russia. Nevertheless, the definition objects of destruction on the territory of a likely enemy will, of course, be located in. Or will it be the responsibility of the military political leadership of the Republic of Belarus? These are clear issues, and we will discuss them all in depth. In working mode, I can only state immediately. Experts know well that the shorter the range, the greater the power of the warhead. However, let's discuss the technical details further. Thank you.
Thank you, Vladimirovich. I am extremely pleased with the response for the second half of next year.
Yes, Tool.
I want to express heartfelt thanks.
To this. That is this by this time? Well, according to our preliminary calculations, we will establish a serial release. These sophisticated complexes will begin service in Russia and simultaneously expand. We will start placing them on the territory of Belarus.
I leveraged our friendship to the extent that if you require something from Putin, have him make a public promise. Hence my gratitude to you.